Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today I'm going to be making this card from the new Irresistible Blooms suite. It's one of the new online exclusives. So you can order it now if you want. It's a beautiful set. There's some great stamps here. These fonts, I think, are probably the prettiest that I've seen Stampin' Up! Make. And it's got some really good sentiments. It's got a great die set. Some really fun and different dies. So here's two examples of the card. This one I used Coastal Cabana and Balmy Blue. And this one that we're going to be making today, I used Orchid Oasis and Balmy Blue. So let me show you what you'll need to make this card. You'll need a piece of basic black cut at 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. And then you'll also need a piece of Orchid Oasis cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. A piece of basic black 3 3/8 by 4 5/8, and that's for this embossed piece. You'll need a piece of shimmery white cardstock to emboss the flowers and the petals on, or you can use some watercolor paper. And then you'll also just need a scrap of basic black for the sentiment. So let's get started. I'm going to take my card base, fold it in half, give it a good crease with my bone folder, and then I've already dry embossed my 3 3/8 by 4 5/8 piece of basic black cardstock, excuse me. I used the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. I think it's one of the prettiest ones out there now. Probably can't see it very well on here. It's really gorgeous in person. So let's take our dry embossed piece and put some glue on it. You could use a tape runner for this, but it does tend to press the impression back out that you've got from dry embossing it. So I'm gonna use my Tombow liquid glue. Just glue that into place. Then I will use my tape runner. And we'll attach this to the card base. Next, let's do our flowers. So I'm going to take my shimmery white paper and I'm going to find my Versamark ink. I've got the large flower stamp from the set, and I'm actually going to use 3 flowers on the card. So there's one. Hopefully I can kind of see where these are and not stamp my images on top of each other. So while I'm at it, I think I will also stamp my leaves, and I'm going to need 2 sets of leaves, and I'm only going to try to ink up these 2 flowers. You can see this one is kind of solid, and if you ink it up with the Versamark ink, it's going to take a lot of the embossing powder and you'll just end up with white. So I'm just going to try to get those 2. Hopefully I'm not going to touch anything else on here because I really can't see them. And then I'll also stamp one of this other little leaf set, and I'm only going to try to do this larger leaf because the other one is the same. It's solid, and it will just pick up all the embossing powder, and I'll end up with just a white leaf, which is not what I want. Okay, let me get a piece of paper in here, and we'll put our embossing powder on. Shake it around a little, make sure all of the ink gets covered up. Give it a little flick on the back. And let's put our loose powder away before we end up with a big mess. Then I'm going to turn on my heat tool, and it'll take just a second to warm up. I don't know if you'll be able to see this heat embossing with the white on the white, but maybe you will. Okay, that looks good. I don't know if you can see that I pressed pretty hard with these leaves and got the edge of the stamp on there, but that doesn't matter because we're going to cut these out with the dies. So next, I'm going to sit down. Let's take our water painter and we're going to use Orchid Oasis and Balmy Blue. And if you give your ink pad a little squeeze, you can deposit some ink in the lid. And here's another trick, hopefully it'll work, that I just found out. If you squeeze on this end of the pad, you can pop that lid right open. I never knew that till just the other day. And I have found with this Balmy Blue that the ink that's being deposited in the lid is pretty light for me. So I'm going to put a little bit of the ink refill in the lid. I might just need to re-ink the pad, I don't know. So here's one of the water painters, and it's the older one. I can't find my new ones, but this one's fine. So you can do this one of two ways. You can either put some water down on your embossed flower and then put the ink in and let it move around, or you can just pick the ink up and then paint it into the flower. I'm gonna release a little water out of here, and I'm just gonna spread some of it around in the flower, and then I'm gonna pick some of this ink up, put it down where I've put the water on, and then I've got a paper towel here that I'm cleaning this brush off on. I'm squeezing the water out. Keep squeezing it and brushing it until the color is gone. Then I'm going to take my Orchid Oasis, give it a squeeze. The dogs have not barked all day. So now I'm going to put a little water down here. Looks like I've still got some balmy blue ink on my water painter. And this isn't any kind of exact painting technique. You can put this ink wherever you want it. And you can also, if you like a little darker look, you can let this dry a minute and then come back and put another layer of the ink down. So now I'm going to go back to my balmy blue. I should have done some of these before the video so you don't have to watch the entire thing. Here I'll do one where I just paint it, and you can see that it's a little darker. So again, I'm going to take the color out of my brush, and then we'll add our Orchid Oasis. That is just painting it on without putting the water down first. This time I'll put some water down. And then let it flow a little bit into those spaces. This is almost like having children do silly things in the background while you're on a Zoom meeting. Okay, so those look pretty good. Let's do the leaves. And for the leaves, if you do the same technique with the two colors, it it doesn't differentiate them from the flowers that well. So I think it's actually better just to pick one color and go with it for the leaves. So I'm going to use the Orchid Oasis, and I'm going to get a little bit more on my lid here. Let's get this one out of the way. And then, like I said, if you want to go back in, you might want to wait a little bit longer than this. You can make the lines on the leaves a little bit darker, or you could shade it in certain spots, whatever your preference is. I did emboss some vellum and then cut the leaves out, but I didn't think it looked very good. Okay, so there's our flowers. Put our ink away. So let's bring our mini cut and emboss machine in. I'm going to cut these off a little bit since it's such a skinny machine. So I'm going to take my die, line it up with my first flower. Got my plate 1, plate 2, my paper and my die, the second plate 2, and we'll run that through. There's one. Again, I apologize for not doing some of these ahead of time. You certainly don't need to watch me do all of them. Okay, here's our second flower. I did get this one a little close to the second one when I stamped it, but I think it's okay. Okay, there's the third flower. So I suppose this would be a good time for you to run and get a coffee or something if you wanted. Okay, let's put this die away and get this one out. Line it up. Got one of the dogs right behind me now. The other one's in the other room on the windowsill, barking at something. Okay, there's one. Second one, and I think I can get this one while we're at it. Okay, so there's our leaves. Let me stand back up a second and I'm going to try to show you. Can you see the leaf on the left that is kind of white? We are going to just cut that off because I'm not going to use it. So we'll cut it off the second one as well. And then this one also has extra, so I'm going to cut that off. And then we can put these flowers on our card. So you probably want to lay these out first before you attach them. So you can see exactly what you want to go where. That looks good. So I'm going to glue this one down first. And I'm also, while the glue is wet, I'm going to try to attach the leaves under this one. So one of these will go under here. And the other will go under the right side. Okay, then you can give that flower and those leaves a good press. I'm also going to glue this one down. And the leaf underneath it. So let's get that where we want it. And slide our leaf under there. And then this last flower, I am going to put some dimensionals on the back of it, mainly on just on this side. And then I think I will put a half a dimensional over here. Okay, so let's take those covers off. And then we'll put that where we want it. And then we also are going to take our Hello stamp from the same set and going to heat emboss it. I am going to put a little anti-static powder down on here in case I get little stray pieces of the embossing powder. Hopefully it'll keep that from sticking. So give that a press. Bring our paper back in and our embossing powder. Give it a flick. Put our powder away. The last thing you want to do is have this laying out here or have this open and turn that heat gun on and have it blow that all over. It makes a big mess. I'll let this heat up for just a second. And then we will cut it with a die from, and I've already put this set away and I can't remember the name of it. I will have it in the PDF down below of the measurements and the supplies used. So I'll make sure I put which set that I use this from. Of course, you can use whatever sentiment you want and whatever die you want to cut it out with. I'm also using this Post-it note tape, which is pretty handy. It doesn't seem to stay sticky as long as the purple tape, but it does work pretty good. All right. So there's our sentiment, and I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals. We'll put 2 of them on there. Put it up here towards the right top corner-ish. And then finally, I'm going to add some of the Rhinestone Basic Jewels. And I don't know if you can see, but I have colored them with Stampin' Blends. And I've used the dark Orchid Oasis for these. I think I'll make a couple of light ones and see how they look. So you can just take your Stampin' Blend pen and just color around these. Yeah, this isn't near as dark as the other. I usually use the, oh, I can't think of what this tip is called. If you use the brush tip, it tends to get messed up. It gets kind of frayed if you use it on this. So it's best not to. So let's put, I guess I do need a couple more larger ones. And these dry in no time at all, so you don't have to really sit around and wait for that. So I'm just going to put one of these larger ones in the center of each of these 3 flowers. Here's a medium one. I'm going to put another medium one up in this corner. And a small one up here. And another small one down here at the bottom. So there's our card. Let me know what you think about that color combination. Again, I do have this one in Coastal Cabana and Balmy Blue, and I used Coastal Cabana cardstock on that one. And I also did a couple with the Highland Heather. This one is Highland Heather, and gosh, I used the Orchid Oasis on this. And instead of the black, I used white and then Highland Heather cardstock. And then I also did one with the black. This is the Highland Heather and Orchid Oasis. So you don't have to do it in black. You can try whatever colors you like, see what you think goes together. I think I will try some in the pinky orangey colors, Flirty Flamingo, that type of shade. I haven't done that yet, but I think I'll give it a try. So I hope that you'll try this technique. I think it turns out really nice. I really appreciate you stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment, hit the like button, share this with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. It helps my channel grow. I really appreciate you. And again, I thank you for stopping by. Have a great day.